All right, here's my first outing to try to build this set for this short film. I have a rough plan. I would not say that I fully know what I'm doing. Kind of making it up as I go. Starting to buy this stuff, I'm like, man, this is gonna be pretty big. I got about a month to build it. Thought I would document it. Maybe somebody can pick up something from it. A lot of what I'm gonna do, I picked up from other people's YouTube channels. I wanna do a short film. I've always wanted to do something in kind of a claustrophobic sci-fi setting. So my goal here is to make a 12-foot long by approximately 7 feet wide, 8 feet tall set. It's gonna be kind of no frills in terms of shape. And you know, just a nice backdrop for the story we're trying to tell. We're gonna attempt to use rear projection for the space shot out the front window. So I have to look for a rear projection screen and try to figure that out too. That's in an attempt to not have to do any green screening on the back end. It's day one. We are going to attempt to build a sci-fi set. Let me show you what we're working with here. This is my starting materials. I'm using some 1x3, some hardboard. I'm gonna use these for the main sides of the ship. It is a little heavier, but it is like $6.70 a sheet. Way, way, way cheaper. I didn't want to use particle board except for framing because it's got such a nasty texture. And I'm using some pretty rough 1x3. My goal today is to assemble 6 panels, which will make up the 12-foot walls of the sides of the ship. This is kind of what I'm doing. 1x3. Had to brace the corners. I made a few mistakes already. I didn't buy long enough nails for my brad nailer. I'm using liquid nails to hold it all together. I wouldn't call it super stable, but literally I need to paint them, decorate them, and use them one time. So I'm hoping I put a screw in each section, and then I put a ton of 1-inch brads, and then liquid nails too. The problem that I'm discovering, and this is due to budget, is this hardboard is really heavy. It's basically masonite. It's only an 1/8 inch, but it's a very heavy wood. The problem is that if you start buying Luan plywood, birch plywood, I mean, you're talking, you know, 30 bucks a sheet. So I may do that for the front and back and use something a little lighter because this was really heavy. But now I think I've got a system. So the issue I'm running into right now is that I'm old. Okay, day one in the books. I made 6 sort of amateur stage flats, but for me, it's all about the end game of how they look on film. So these are just the starting point. I'm gonna paint these, texture them, add all kinds of little doohickeys, and even some cutouts for sleeping pods. Finished kind of the main side walls of this set. It's kind of all in here. I did do a diagram, did a few things, but it's, you know, I forget what it's like to be 47 and crouch and kneel a bunch. So these are probably not as precise as they could be, but they will do the job once I build the front and back. Here we are, day 3, and I finished essentially 8 4x8 panels, film flats, and then I've painted them all like a gunmetal gray. That is not the final finish. It's kind of like a primer. What I'm gonna do is do kind of where it has some silvers and blacks, looks really old, maybe some rust. And obviously a lot of this will be trimmed out. This is gonna be my front entrance, or sorry, the front window for the ship. Some plexiglass, most likely. I am gonna use rear projection for space. I'm gonna fill this all up with panels and trim, and as Star Wars calls them, greeblies, little control panel-y things. There'll be a console right here that you'll sit at. And I've got all my other panels painted. If I did it and left it like this, it would be pretty boring. My dad, who's a great woodworker, he's gonna be doing some piping stuff for me and some panels. So these things are really gonna build out. I found these little things, I've used these before. They're like $1.50 at Home Depot. Something to do with insulation, kind of moisture barrier. And I'm gonna use those as some of the kind of grid work to fill in some spaces, but honestly, I'm just gonna find as much junk as I can. I've been collecting lids and tops and all kinds of stuff. I just went to Home Depot for trip number 3. You know, it's funny when you're just sitting in Home Depot, literally staring at the ceiling because you're trying to figure out how to problem solve everything. So I wanted some vents to hang down at a 45-degree angle, and I'm trying to do this as cheap as is humanly possible. Today I spent, I think grand total after today will be 470. And basically the main structure of the ship is entirely built. So, you know, I'm thinking probably it's gonna be about 600 bucks out the door to build this set, which is kind of where I thought I'd land. So I'm doing pretty well.
working in my garage is difficult. It's not big enough, and I can't lay all the panels out, so I'm really just using my imagination of how this is going to look, and I'm hoping that I'm doing it good enough, because if I had a place where I could just build it and leave it, that would be perfect. But since I have to transport it, I have to make everything portable so I can break it down, and it should be big enough, I think. And, you know, other than that, the movie doesn't require a whole lot of, you know, props or, you know, anything really intricate. So I think I could probably spend another couple $100 on just getting all the other props, costumes, you know, thrift store goodies rounded out for a grand total of about $800, $850. Then I got to feed people.